college football fans, in case you haven't heard, Leonard Fournette, LSU star running back and Heisman hopeful, seemed to have sprained his ankle Tuesday in practice. And they're assuming that well, not necessarily, but some people think he might miss the week 1 game against Wisconsin. And some are debating whether, you know, he should just sit out this season in its entirety, and just get himself ready for the NFL draft so that he doesn't risk injuring himself further, and losing out on a big payday. This is a really interesting topic because I want to talk about a few things here. But first, I'll start with that whole idea. I know Barrett Sallee and the guy who's on the Herd show, not Cowherd, but Nick something, they were debating whether or not Fournette should just sit out and wait till the NFL draft or play. And this is weird because when you look at college athletics, there's these differences going on here. I'll use basketball and football. In college basketball, you only have to be 1 year removed from high school to declare for the NFL draft. So some of these high-profile athletes and basketball players, they go to the college, they play 1 year, one and done, they go off to the NBA draft. And Kentucky's known for this because John Calipari recruits such a high level of recruits, so many of them, that a lot of them come and just shipping out first-round draft picks every year. And I'm not going to debate whether or not, that's a good thing or not in education. But I will say that seems to be a bit unfair to the football players. Football players have to be 3 years removed from high school, and they have to wait till their juniors in college, and then they can declare for the NFL draft. I mean, let's face it, that's 2 more years where it's possible that they can be injured, where they can just wear themselves down, not season ending, career ending injuries. It's a lot that goes on there, and they're basically putting themselves at risk for 2 more years than the basketball player would be in college. Now, some of you may say, football players, their bodies have to mature a little bit more, and they have to build up more muscle and whatnot before they're ready for the NFL. I mean, we can argue that, but I'm strictly talking about those high-profile guys who are already physically ready. A guy like Anthony Davis, although he had to put on a lot of weight and muscle when through his first year as well, but guys like Anthony Davis and Leonard Fournette, with the guy from South Carolina a few years ago, Marcus Lattimore, they're all like physically gifted and muscular and ready to play, but they have to wait. The football players, anyway, the basketball players can go. And so I think if they're gonna say that players can leave early, they should make it uniform across all college athletics, football, basketball, whatever the sport allows players to leave early, so that we really wouldn't have this conversation. One other thing about this is it really shows us what our society thinks about education in general. I mean, that's another video. I can talk about the education system and its flaws and what it can do and the benefits of it that could come about if we did it properly, but that's another thing. But it really shows, I think, that we devalue education a lot, especially when it comes to athletics. Like I said, that's another video. Now I'm going to get into Leonard Fournette, the impact that he can have on his season if he doesn't handle this injury situation right. If, let's say, he tries to brush back and he ends up sitting out for longer, hurts himself, and that can really impact their season. Because last year, although it's funny because a lot of people get on them, telling them they were one-dimensional, they were less one-dimensional than usual last year. Brandon Harris, for all the flack he gets, he actually played okay for LSU last year, especially up until the Alabama game. He was good on the play action, short pass, whatnot. It was enough for them to be undefeated at that time. And so without Fournette, they become extremely one-dimensional in an area that they're not strong in. Now, I know they have, I'm not saying his name, is it Geis? The last name Guice. He's a pretty good running back, and LSU usually have some pretty good running backs. But as we saw, like even with Alabama last year, we stopped the run and we forced Brandon Harris to throw, and he did make some good throws. A couple of them, that's how they got a couple of those touchdowns. but well, it was actually just one touchdown throw, but he had two pretty good deep passes. But it wasn't enough. And so I'm interested to see how LSU would do if they didn't have Leonard Fournette.